Grade 12, last session, we reached until we explained the difference between ideal culture and the real culture. We said that culture is, to revise what we took yesterday, culture is the beliefs and behaviors that a social group shares, and that society and culture, they both exist together. One cannot exist without the other. We said that the types of culture, our culture is divided into material and non-material culture. We also said that there is a term described as cultural universals. Cultural universals, these are the shared characteristics between all the cultures around the world. We also said that in terms of people, when they relate their culture to other cultures, there are three main actions and two subsidiary actions. Three main actions were known as ethnocentrism, cultural imperialism, and cultural shock. We also said that two other reactions, اللي هو cultural relativism and xenocentrism, are one is a solution and the other one is the opposite. We continued to explain that culture has 5 components. The first 2 were values and beliefs, and we said that values and beliefs are different. Values are more deep and more embedded into the society, while beliefs differ from one person to the other. And when we said that values, when they turn into actions, we have 3 types of actions according to the values, which are rewards, sanctions, and punishments. Now to the new part of today, which is the third component of culture, which is norms. What is norms? Norms tell us what is normal in our society. My norms can be different from your norms. They are established written rules. The formal norms are established written rules, like laws. Laws, for example, differ from one country to the other, but the laws of one country tell the citizens what is right and wrong. For example, in Egypt, if you throw garbage or you throw any piece of paper or cover or a plastic sheet outside the window of your car or in the street, you do not get punished. Meanwhile, in other civilized countries, if you do such action, you usually pay a fine and you get punished. These are norms. They tell you what is normal in the society, and if you do not do it, or if you do not follow the norms, you get punished. The norms are divided into formal, which are laws, and informal. Informal norms are casual behaviors that are generally known between people. For example, standing in line. Usually, if you are standing in line to buy something, or if you're standing in line in one of the supermarkets, for example, to pay for what you bought, or in one of the shops to take your turn and pay for the clothes you got, no one told you, and it's not written in a big sign in the shop or in the supermarket, that you should stand in one line. But deep inside of you, you know that if a person is standing in front of you, you should not exceed that person, but you should stand behind that person and wait for your turn. Another example of an informal norm is using a napkin at a restaurant, or using a napkin to wipe your mouth, for example. Which means that if you use your shirt or your sleeve to wipe your mouth or nose, this is not, you're violating the norm. So norms tell us what is normal in our society, but it doesn't have to be the same in each and every society. Now, norms are divided into mores and folkways. Whether they are formal or informal, norms in general are divided into mores and folkways. Mores are norms that have a moral basis, which means that, remember we said they tell us what's right and wrong. The rules that tell us what's right and wrong with a moral basis, like for example, that talks about murder, that talks about plagiarism, they have a moral basis اللي هو you should not cheat, you should not kill, you should be fair. These all fall under mores. Usually, mores have more serious punishments, and with mores, you can link it to formal norms. In other words, norms are divided into formal norms and informal norms. ده general title. Formal norms, under formal norms, we can say that they are mores, or they're called mores. اللي هو they have moral basis. There is a certain lesson that you need to learn from this rule. And if you do not follow this rule, you get punished. Depending on the level of your action is the level of the punishment. While informal norms is a casual behavior, and under informal norms are folkways. Folkways, they do not have any moral basis, but instead it's what people believe in, or it's opinionated from one person to the other. Just like we said, standing in line, no one tells you that there's a rule of standing in line, but usually your parents teach you this, or you get it from the people around you. The same thing here, folkways, they are norms, but they do not have any moral basis. For example, wearing black after a person dies. This is a folkway. This is a norm. Normally, people do it, but it's not a rule. And if you do not do it, you do not violate any rules. Okay? If you meet a person and you shake hands, it's not a rule. But this is known. This is a casual behavior that is widely known in the society. Types of norms. Do you have any questions?
No.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Can you differentiate between values, beliefs, and norms?
Yes.
And the rest?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So if I ask you to differentiate now
Yes.
between values, beliefs, and norms, you can all do so?
Yes.
Yes. Now, forget about breaching, okay? Cancel breaching from the PowerPoint when you study. The last two components of culture are symbols and language. Symbols, these are icons or drawings or images that are used to mean something else. For example, if you see a person raising two fingers, please focus on the correct two fingers that I mean, the second and third finger. It means that this person, it's usually a sign of victory. If you see, for example, a dove, you all know what's a dove, right?
Yes.
Who doesn't know? Boys.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
What's a dove?
ايه
What's a dove? D-O-V-E.
تاني كده.
D-O-V.
I don't know يا مس.
طب other than the حروق, the rest.
كده بتاني ازاي؟
ده انيمال
A
يعني
bird
ولا ايه؟
يعني.
أيوة,
A
the bird.
اللي هو البird.
ايوه
dove.
ده بيرد، ايوه
symbolizes
ايوه
مش ده
symbolizes
الدور.
peace.
ماشي.
Now everyone knows what's a dove. ماشي. The bird.
ده حروف
The white
طب ايه
bird.
الدور ده حروف؟
حمامة.
مهما
The bird.
اللي هو الشامبو ده.
جدع.
Anyways, usually if you see the sign of a dove or the picture of a dove, what does it symbolize?
Peace.
Peace. What other symbols go for peace other than a dove?
Olive branch.
Excellent, olive branches. Okay, this is a symbol. It's a picture that stands for something else. What's a famous symbol nowadays? or a
The
new
peace
symbol
sign.
other than the peace sign. Nowadays, there's a new symbol that wasn't a symbol before, and it symbolizes something else.
Rainbow.
Yes, and they ruined the symbol for us. Yes, a rainbow. Usually, previously, if you would see a rainbow, it's a nice girly little picture. Now you see a rainbow and you think of something else.
Astaghfirullah.
Okay? So this is a symbol. It's a picture that symbolizes or means something else. Symbols differ from one culture to the other. Sometimes the same symbol can be used differently between cultures. يعني, I will not tell you as an example because this will be part of your task, but there are certain symbols that one cultures use that would mean, for example, happiness or kindness or something positive, while the same symbol in other sign means a bad thing or a negative thing. The symbol of a black cat, what does it symbolize?
Bad luck.
Bad luck. Bad luck.
Bad luck. The symbol of a blue eye.
Protection.
حسد.
Ivy.
Yes, protection from envy. Okay, so you're all familiar with symbols. To the final
Yes.
point, which is language. This is the easiest, as you all know. Language differs from one culture to the other. We're not talking about main languages. We're not talking about Arabic, English, Chinese. We're talking about the sub-languages, which means inside Egypt itself, different countries, different cities, they have different tongues or different ways of talking. Okay, we might all have the same culture, but for example, part of the language is different. So language is the use of letters and words to communicate between each other. And usually, or sometimes, most of the times, language changes as time passes by. Now, let's see, skip this part. This will be done later. This will be done later. Okay. Now, we're done with the parts of culture. Let me see. Inside culture itself, or the culture itself, is divided into levels. Okay? We have high culture and popular culture. From the title itself, what do you think a high culture would mean? Are you reading?
High society.
Yes. High culture means the high level people, the elite.
Rich people يعني.
Yes, the elites, the aristocrats of the society. High culture, in this culture, they have the same components, which are language, symbols, norms, values, and beliefs, but they are slightly different in terms of what they pick. And for examples, in the beliefs, in the values, in the activities that they do, they pick always the different aspects, the expensive aspects. They usually, everything they do costs a lot of money. And the involvement in high culture usually implies prestige and aristocratism. Oh, and also political and economic power. So this is a type of a culture. We can have, inside Egypt, we can have high culture and popular culture. You're not supposed to have one type only. Popular culture, on the other hand, these are the things that everybody has access to, and most of the people can talk about it. Activities that you can do, for example, going to the park, going to the mall, going to the movies. These are all things that you share in the same culture, and it does not cost a lot of money. It does not imply prestige or aristocratism, and it has nothing to do with political and economic power. Is it understood?
Yes.
Nish. This is where we'll stop for today. Did you see the history project?
Yes.
Yes.
Miss, where
Boys,
is
did
it?
any of you see the history project?
Yes, yes.
Mish, you're supposed to write a research on only one of The Muslim empires, اللي هو Islamic empires, you did not take all of them, of course, but you're supposed to pick one only and use the questions that were written to help you. Yani you're not supposed to put the questions only. You can still add. I just gave you these questions as a hint. But when you write the research, you're supposed to start with, in the introduction, first you need to introduce what is Islamic civilization, our Muslim civilization, the introduction. And then you need to start with the questions. And please do not say, I will talk about the Seljuk Turks. You're not talking in class. This is a research that someone is going to read. So use the questions for help. The order should talk about your civilization or your empire. How did it start? Just like we did in class. How did it start? What were the rulers? What were the achievements? Were they good rulers, bad rulers? Where is the location on the map? What is it today? Are there any certain achievements in terms of language, in terms of weapons, in terms of tools? Yani what happened during the empire? How did they live? Did they have a certain religion? Did they have a certain culture? And then you reach to the point where everything was okay, or to the point where everything was starting to be not okay, and this leads to the decline. Just like we did in class. Your research should be 30 to 35 lines, يعني not less than 30 lines and not more than 35 lines, اللي هم 300 to 350 words.
بس كم باراجراف ولا ما فيش عدد معين؟
Introduction, conclusion, and the rest are paragraphs. Personally, I would suggest that you write the introduction 2 to 3 lines, conclusion 2 to 3 lines, and the rest divide them into paragraphs. Paragraphs talks about the location of your empire. Another small paragraph talks about the start of the empire. How did it start? A third paragraph, it should be a little bit bigger than the rest, which talks about اللي هو middle time, the middle frame, اللي هو was it rising, was it a golden age, who are the rulers, the culture, the religion, all of these things. And then a fourth paragraph, that talks about a decline بقى. And then finally the conclusion. So personally, I would prefer that you write introduction, 4 bodies, and 1 conclusion. Yani make a body for each of the main titles, and do not write subtitles. We do not write, for example, the fall of the empire. No, you're not a book. This is a research. If you want to divide your paragraphs in a different way, it's up to you. But do not write 1 introduction and 1 big body and 1 conclusion. لا. Because these are 30 lines. You have to divide them. You can't have 1 big paragraph. Clear?
طب الفونت كام؟
يعني 12 or 14. Not bigger than that because it will be too big. If 10 is okay for you and you can read it, I don't care. يعني as long as it's Times New Romans, a font that I can read.
When is it due?
It's due Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Not later than that. Sundays,
10 a.m. ولا p.m.
a.m. Okay? Because I need to check it during the day, and then on Sunday, you're supposed to present your project. Okay? The division of the grades are written in the Word document. You have 2 options. What you sent me, اللي هو research, you can share it on your screen and take your 2 minutes to explain, or you can take extra points depending on your PowerPoint and your pictures, 2 extra points for thinking usually outside the box and turning this research into a PowerPoint. فالPowerPoint is not obligatory, but it will make you take extra points. Clear?
والبرزنتيشن يوم ايه؟
Sunday في السيشن.
Miss Manna for the extra points.
انا مش هبقى موجود.
عندك 2 extra points, just like we always do. If you do all of the previous things, you will take 8 out of 10. لسالك 2 points. In order to get these 2 points, one of them is to turn your research into a PowerPoint. The second one is to think outside the box. Get me مثلا a different picture, a different aspect, a part of a video, but you're not going to present it, you're going to send it to me on the email. مثلا a certain food, يعني pick something that I did not ask for. Like we always do in the normal projects. ماشي?
Okay, I got it.
Okay, you should send the research on my email. The email should have the title of Term 2 History Project, your name, Grade 12, or the opposite, Grade 12, Term 2 History Project, and your name. But I need the grade and I need your name. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you can leave. We're done for today. Thank you.